So, the best and worst landing spots for Lamelo Ball in this upcoming draft. Eventually, we'll know the draft order. That is, of course, not right now. Fifth worst is the T-Wolves. So, fifth worst means almost among the best. If we're operating under fifth best on the other end, I don't know. A core featuring Lamelo, D'Lo, and Towns packs star power and offensive upside, but would it be enough to offset the problems the Wolves would have defensively? I don't know. I mean, Cat's still not a good defensive big. He's had moments. The question is still if LaMelo is just going to defend or not, and I mean, with LaMelo, some people want to say, well, Lonzo figured it out defensively. Sure, but they're different people. It doesn't mean that LaMelo is just going to inherently learn how to defend. But he's got the size for it, and I guess that could be a thing. Offensively, yeah, I mean, LaMelo and Cat pick and rolls, D'Lo spots up off of that. LaMelo could spot up off of D'Lo and Cat doing stuff. As far as whether LaMelo wants to do that type of thing, I think that's a question. So, I mean, between the defense and whether there'd just be enough shots to go around, I understand it. I mean, LaMelo's certainly a great passer, but he wants to get his shots up, and D'Lo does as well, and that could be interesting and potentially not in the best way. Between Jarrett Culver, Josh Okogie, and James Johnson, the Wolves also have individual defenders to plug the holes. I mean, Jarrett Culver, I don't know if Jarrett Culver's an NBA player right now, to be honest. Okogie, I'll give you that one. James Johnson, maybe. His threes were okay, so maybe you could put him out there. But, yeah, to me, I mean, I think the ideal player for the Wolves is like a power forward or a wing who can be awesome defensively and then on offense, at least be good enough. So, yeah, but at the same time, if you think LaMelo's the best player available, then maybe you'd still go for it. Fifth best, the Atlanta Hawks. Yeah, the potential of LaMelo and Trae Young would definitely be interesting. I mean, the potential is that you got two ball handlers, dynamic offense. The negative is, once again, like, would LaMelo be willing to play off of Trae Young? Would Trae Young be willing to play off of LaMelo at times? They do mention the John Collins, Clint Capella frontcourt. I'm not 100% on this frontcourt just yet, mainly because I just don't know if Collins is going to be willing to spot up all the time. I mean, he can make some open threes, but are you maximizing Collins by having Capella around the rim? I don't know, but at the same time, what else are you going to do? Because Collins at center, it's probably just not setting yourself up well defensively, you know what I mean? I mean, it's got potential, I just kind of want to see it, I guess. Shot makers like Cam Reddish, Kevin Huerter, and DeAndre Hunter to fill in the gaps. I mean, shot makers like Cam Reddish, I think that's a wait and see. DeAndre Hunter can probably make an open shot. Kevin Huerter, okay, there's a genuine guy for you. Yeah, I don't know. The LaMelo Trae Young thing, if you want to be an optimist, it's there. If you want to be cynical, it's also there. To me, the perfect fit in this upcoming draft for Atlanta, to be honest, I don't even know if it's there. I mean, they already got Capella, so Wiseman's not perfect. You want to go with another wing like Devin Vassell? I don't know. Collins and Okongwu play the same position. It might be Anthony Edwards. Or maybe Tyrese Halliburton. Fourth worst, the Wizards. Yeah, between Beal, Wall, and LaMelo, and Rui, and Bertans, if they re-sign him, there'd be a lot of guys wanting to take shots. And, I mean, Beal's got to be the main dude. And I think it could be awkward with him and John Wall next year. So then if you were to add LaMelo into that, it could definitely be weird. And also, this team's already bad on defense, and LaMelo, I feel like depending on the team LaMelo ends up on, he could end up being a defensive player. But if he goes to the Wizards, it's probably not going to happen. Although it should be said, a lineup of like LaMelo, Beal, Bertans, and whoever else could score a few points. Fourth best, Detroit. The Pistons are actually a pretty interesting one. I mean, the Derrick Rose thing with LaMelo is maybe awkward, because I think Derrick Rose is probably better right now. But LaMelo, you'd have to get him in there, because that's your future guy, if Detroit was to draft him. I mean, between Christian Wood and Luke Kennard, if he's healthy. He missed a lot of time this year. Those two alone, and you just sprinkle in some Shvi McCulloch and some Tony Snell. Like, there's a world in which you could plot Lamelo into Detroit right now as the leading ball handler, and it kind of makes sense. Like, yeah, the talent is still not amazing, but it just kind of works, you know. Christian Wood setting screens for Lamelo, shooters to space the floor, to the point where an unhealthy Blake might not kill the excitement of Lamelo in Detroit. Like, certainly Blake being out there would help things, but even if he wasn't, I feel like the basketball still could kind of make sense with Lamelo out there. I do think there's some optimism behind Lamelo ending up in Detroit. The third worst landing spot, the Knicks. Yeah, I think the thing with the Knicks, and you know, Thibodeau opens this up as well, is like, would Tibbs be willing to have one big guy on the floor, have that guy set screens for Lamelo, put shooting around him? Like, I don't know if Tibbs would want to do that. If he would, then great, but there is a chance, you know, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, throw a ball into that group, and that's 4 below average shooters. Could be not awesome. I mean, it could be just as ugly as it was through stretches of this season. The positive of going to the Knicks is Ball getting a full-time job for a big market team that has cap space and picks. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, would the Knicks use their assets to surround Lamelo with the proper talent? You know, you pull off a move for somebody who can make a shot and be a bit of a scorer. You know, somebody's usually available every offseason. They got the cap space, of course. Maybe you can sign someone like, I don't know, Gallinari or something, you know? And then you put Lamelo there. You have RJ as the one, like, kind of iffy shooter. You have one big man. It could make sense. And because they got a new coach and because they got some new front office guys, maybe. Like, do the new guys running the Knicks at least deserve a little bit of an opportunity for us to see if they can get this going in the right direction? Maybe not. I mean, it's been so long at this point that you've got to be skeptical about the Knicks doing it correctly, but it's got to happen eventually, man, you know? Third best, the Bulls. So, the Bulls are in the interesting spot. Well, let me backtrack. I gotta fire Boylan. If they don't fire Boylan, nothing else matters. But they're in the interesting spot, and I've said this before, where they got a lot of guards, but they still kind of need playmaking. Like, Levine's shoot first, Kobe White shoot first. Satoransky is nice, but he's not a lead ball handler. Chris Dunn is defense first. You know, it's this weird thing going on. And perhaps Lamelo could serve as kind of like Zach LaVine's Ricky Rubio, the way that Rubio impacted Devin Booker and allowed him to do a little bit more off the ball, and his efficiency shot up as a result. And you could probably run some pick and pops with Markkanen, some rolls with Wendell. Kobe White could space the floor out for Lamelo. It all kind of makes sense in theory, but then it gets kind of iffy because it's like, well, is everybody okay with that? You know, is LaVine okay with spotting up? I mean, Lamelo would have to spot up for LaVine and Kobe White sometimes. It wouldn't just be Lamelo doing everything. Ball in Chicago isn't perfect. He and LaVine don't make the toughest defensive backcourt. Yeah, that's fair as well. Yeah, I mean, with a lot of these, there's a back and forth you can have. Second worst, Charlotte. So I'm trying to picture a Lamelo Devontae Graham backcourt. It goes back again to if LaMelo's going to bring it defensively, who really knows? Offensively, I mean, you know, in theory, Devontae could play off of LaMelo. Could you figure it out defensively? Yeah, that's a bit of a different conversation, I feel like, if LaMelo's not going to be good on that side of the floor. I'll be honest, I don't totally know what Charlotte should do. I mean, I like all their young guys, but none of them are stars either. I mean, Devontae's a maybe. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like Charlotte should just take the best player available regardless of position and find a way to get him in there. I mean, the most seamless fit for them is probably a big man, but maybe they don't love James Wiseman. I don't know. The second best landing spot, Phoenix. So this is an interesting one. It of course goes back to the idea of best player available, but you know, Rubio proved to be a good pickup for them. They were bad without Rubio in the lineup. And I mean, like his impact on Devin Booker was there. He's able to throw entry passes to DeAndre Ayton. Rubio is also pretty sound defensively. LaMelo is certainly the more exciting player, but I think for Phoenix specifically, especially when you're already looking at like Kelly Oubre as the third option, it just might be too many guys if you were to bring LaMelo in there who wanted to run the show a bit on offense, you know what I mean? But even so, I mean, if you think LaMelo's really good, then you still pick him at the end of the day, Like they say that he'd have to begin his career behind Rubio, which may frustrate Ball early, but also benefit him long term. See, like, that's nice in theory, but it doesn't always work like that, man, Like, there's a chance that LaMelo can't be good as a backup. Yeah, Ball could be ready for his breakout third season on a competitive team in the West. Yeah, like, it's from a talent standpoint, it's certainly exciting, but it's just that idea of the fit and, pretty much that. Worst landing spot, Cleveland. Yeah, I have to imagine LaMelo as well as LeVar do not want to end up in Cleveland. I mean, to make the case from a basketball standpoint, Garland probably gets pushed to the side. Kevin Love could space the floor out for LaMelo. Sexton becomes more of a two-guard, and you hope that LaMelo and Sexton defensively can work. Sexton on defense has not been good so far, but that might just be the team around him more than anything else. Andre Drummond is on this team, for what that's worth. I kind of forgot about that one. I don't know. There's if you try hard enough, there might be something there, but it's pretty bleak. But hey, you know what? You know what fixes a bleak rebuild situation? Getting a star player. And if LaMelo is truly a star, then that could be the thing that makes Cleveland a little exciting. So I would assume Golden State is number one. Yeah, best landing spot, the Warriors. Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about open shots being generated for you and a star player who is very content with playing off the ball, and Steph Curry and Clay is, of course, great there, and Draymond is a leader, we can say. How would LaMelo react to Draymond yelling at him when he takes some bad jump shot? I don't know. It could make sense. It certainly could. I mean, I do think there would always be a little bit of a push-pull in terms of how many minutes would LaMelo get and how much of the offense would he truly be able to run versus what the Warriors want to do, which is, the ball zipping around, off-ball screens, cutting to the basket, all that stuff. But by all accounts, LaMelo is a smart player. So I feel like he could fit into that, and I mean, if he's a good shooter, then this would be the place for it to happen, because open shots will be generated for him. Although, to be fair, there are some guys to leave open on this Warriors team at this point between Draymond and Wiggins, and if LaMelo's there, potentially him as well. And, I don't know, maybe that would be enough to offset the impact of Steph and Clay. I don't really know just yet. We'd have to see. Teams would probably not defend Kevon Looney as much either, or whoever's playing center for him. But even so, when you got the best shooter ever and the, fourth best shooter ever or something, you get a lot of good looks for other guys. It's pretty obvious. Could also be said, the Warriors defensively, the best lineup to mask Ball's struggles, containing penetration, yeah. It'll be interesting to see if Golden State, just how good they are defensively. I mean, hopefully Draymond is in shape. Clay is still going to be good. We'll have to see with Wiggins. Looney is fundamentally sound enough. Steph is good as a team defender, so I don't know if they're going to be elite defensively anymore. I mean, there's still reason to suspect they could, but you imagine at the worst, the Warriors will still be, I don't know, like the 9th best defensive team or something. So, yeah, it would certainly be exciting. It would be the most fun place for him to end up because the news cycles would be wild and LeVar would certainly have something to say. And, again, it would just be that clash of, LaMelo's whole thing versus what the Warriors want to do. And there's a world in which that goes well. So, yeah, I think the one team that did not end up here that I've talked a little bit about with LaMelo is San Antonio. Which, from a basketball standpoint, you can argue doesn't make sense, but I just want to see LaMelo and Greg Popovich in the same basketball world, But yeah, there you go, LaMelo Ball.